Well, hello everybody. Join me on a beautiful spring day with the spring blossoms in full flower. Now, I get asked lots of times about what to prune, when to prune, and how to prune. Spring is a good time to think about it, but not necessarily to prune everything. Some things you could prune in spring, a lot of things you should leave alone. Now, crab apples, they are stunning at the moment, but however, if you prune them later in the season, you're going to cause problems. So what I tend to do is prune a little bit after the flowering, so the new growth will have the flower buds for next year, so you won't lose the flowers. Now, in terms of apples, well, apples, they really need to be pruned in the dormant period, and then all you've got to do really is thin out any branches that are blocking the light coming in the summertime. I know it's kind of spring, summer, it's not really the time, so I'm not really going to do anything drastic. You can see those little flowering spurs are producing lots of flowers, and hopefully, if the bees do their job, we'll have lots of apples on this one. But a couple of things I've noticed I really want to do. This branch up here is getting a bit too tall for me, so it's a semi-dwarf. I'm going to take this branch out just about there. And I've also noticed this branch here is running inside. So I'll be tempted to fill that void there. And the question is, how do you do that? If you're careful, tie onto the main branch, put a loop around it, put a bungee cord around it. Eventually, after a season, it would have grown enough wood and it will keep its position. Or you could put a stake in the ground, a tent peg, and just put a wire around it. Just don't cut the bark though, keep it very, very loose and don't let it rub too much. What we're trying to do with apple trees, and so you can see this in the summertime, does the sun come inside? The more the leaves and flowers and where the fruit is will get sun on it, the quicker they're going to ripen up. Well, one thing you can always do, though, is cut away the suckers, just down here. Sometimes I will physically just strip them away if they're too big. These are from the rooting stock. The tree is actually grafted to a different rooting stock. You don't want these to take over, so just strip them off. I think I find that if you strip them off, they tend not to grow back. All right, well, one thing you certainly can prune after it's flowered is the forsythia. And rather than struggle with my big one at home, which is another story, I'm going to show you just a smaller variety here. What I usually do is cut off any of those stems that had lots of flower buds on them. So, for example, like this one, still got a flower on it. I will go down the stem and there's shoots there. And if I cut that off, and anything dead, obviously, this looks like a dead branch. Didn't spot that. So forsythia, cut it right back now, and then the new growth will be long and it will have enough time to be covered with flower buds, so it'll look really impressive next year. Okay, a plant that is in a lot of people's yards, the spirea. What you want to do with those is just trim the flower heads off after they've finished, and it encourages a little bit more shooting down below. When you prune the little tips off, you get new shoots down below, and it will make the shrub look a bit fuller. Not yet, because they've got lots of flowers to come, so not quite there for that plant. Evergreens. Typically, evergreens are pruned in the winter season. Some things like the mugo pines, you let the new shoot come off and then maybe cut it in half if you want to reduce it. When you've got little growth like this, if you just take the tips off, it will keep the shape of the box. And you can use a pair of hedge trimmers, just lightly go over it, and that will make it a very full-looking hedge. Well, I have to say all the best plans go to waste, and that's true of my gardening. I had pulled this plant out earlier, right into the open, because it had a nice shape, and we pruned it in the fall, and it was going to be a beautiful ball of white new leaves coming out. It's one of these Japanese willows, Hakunishiki, but the frost got it, and you can see all the end branches have all gone a bit brown. But still, I thought we could still learn something from it. As long as there's going to be no more frost, give it a quick trim. I'm using a little hedge trimmer, and I'm just going to go very lightly. But these grow so vigorously, within 2 weeks you wouldn't know there'd been any damage whatsoever. The more you trim it like this, the more dense it gets and the more impressive it looks. Let me just show you a prune. Here we go, where I made a cut last year. This is a fine example. This branch I cut right there, and you can see how it produced new shoots just below that. If you don't, it just gets spindly and more leggy, and will start being a bit floppy. So this tree, you do need to cut back to get that real, it's like a dandelion seed head. It looks fantastic.
I am cutting about an inch above where I made the cut last year. I'm cutting them, and of course they will produce, each one of those will produce lots and lots of new shoots. And again, within 2 or 3 weeks, you'd be surprised how good it looks. In any kind of pruning, just stand back and make sure you're not going out of alignment. Because that cut was fairly good last year, if I follow that along, I should have a good shape. Now it's going to look a bit skeletonized. There's some shrubs you can treat a little bit more vigorously than others. The willows certainly can take a lot of pruning without any difficulty, and it really doesn't matter what time of year you do it. They are tough, tough little nuts. The nice thing about these willows, they can shoot anywhere on the stems, so you can bring it right back into a nice shape. Well, what we have here are 2 hydrangeas with very different properties, different growth habits. This is the one you see by the shore. It's a big leaf hydrangea, Hydrangea macrophylla. Endless summer is one variety of them. There are lots of them out there. And this is typically what they do in the spring in our climate. There's lots of new growth right down here at the base. But then up the stems, you've got odd shoots. You've got shoots with nothing on it. So what I do is wait till spring comes around and I can see what I need to prune back. That needs to come back. I'm going to leave that one there. So I'm going down to where I see nice green shoots. If there aren't any, there's one there. Little one coming out of there. Nothing on that one. So don't prune them back till the spring, till you see what's alive and what's dead. Our winters are just a bit too tough for these. All right, behind it is a much tougher chap. This is a panicled hydrangea. They flower midsummer to late. They tend to have the cone-shaped flowers, but to be honest, there's all kinds of flower shapes out there. They're not quite as vigorous coming back in the spring, but you can see along the stem, there's lots of new shoots. Now these flower buds will be produced by new growth. The macrophylla is old growth, last year's stems. So it really doesn't matter where you cut them back, it will still produce flowers if you cut them back there. These are last year's flowers. So I will probably give this a little haircut like so. And this is a relatively easy chore. Now some of these panicled hydrangeas get very, very big. And when we come back, I've got a major pruning project I want to show you. I've got a monster limelight hydrangea to prune, and it really will go through all the basic pruning techniques, I hope, and hopefully I can make success of it. So don't go away, we'll see you when we come back.